great dream you are living in is the dream of reason, which in turn creates more and more dreams within this great dream. Dreams so beautiful and so real that they deceive everyone. Now then, how do you awaken? This is what you have been trying to do for many, many lives. You have tried in many ways, but all of them begin within the circle of reason. It seems to you that you are moving because there are changes, but you are still moving in a circle, going around and around. You cannot get out. The more you think about getting out, the more systems, techniques, and methods you create to escape, the more trapped you become. The basic problem is reasoning itself. You cannot get out of it, because reasoning is the very phenomenon in which you are immersed. Something irrational is needed. Something beyond reason. Something absurd. Something crazy. Only something like that can free you. All the great masters have devoted themselves to inventing tricks, and their tricks are absurd. If you analyze them, you miss the point. You have to follow their line without reasoning. That is why philosophy is of little use. Only true religion can help. Because real religion is absolute madness. Tertullian said, "I believe in God because God is absurd." There is no reason to believe in Him. Is there any reason to believe in God? Has anyone ever been able to prove that God exists? There is no reason that supports it. That is where faith comes in. Faith means there is no reason to believe, and yet you believe. Faith means there are no arguments, no proofs, and still you risk your whole life on it. No one can prove that God exists, and yet you leap into the abyss. Anyone who is reasonable will think you have gone mad. And this is what all rationalists have always believed. A Buddha, a Krishna, a Jesus. They have gone mad, they say. They speak nonsense. In the West there is a school of thought that claims all religion is meaningless. And I am a religious man, and I say they are right. And yet they are wrong. They think that if they prove religion is nonsense, they have refuted it. No. Truly religious people have always said, we are absurd. Our world is not the world of meaning. It is beyond it. And what lies beyond will necessarily appear absurd. What meaning can religion possibly have? If you can give religion a meaning, you have missed the point. Then you are in theology, in philosophy, in systems. But you will never touch that purity which lies beyond reason. Tertullian is right. He says, I believe because God is absurd. To believe means to believe in the absurd. You do not need to believe in this world around you, because it is there. No one needs to believe in it. How could you stop believing in it? It is here. So present. Everything proves that it is here. Someone can throw a stone at you, and you will bleed. You have been hit. The stone is here. But God cannot hit you like a stone. You cannot touch Him. There is no way. How could you smell Him? How could you see Him? And yet, do you believe? Belief always means believing in the absurd. But what happens when someone becomes capable of believing in the absurd? He moves beyond his reason. Suddenly the circle stops. The wheel comes to a halt. Because you are no longer feeding it. You step out of argument. You step out of thought. Suddenly you are outside it. You have awakened from the dream. Once you are awakened outside the vicious circle, God is here. nothing else exists, then belief is no longer necessary. Then you know. But before this knowing happens, faith is necessary. And all those philosophers who throughout the centuries have tried to prove that God exists are not religious. They are not serving God. They are harmful. Because when you present a proof, you make God part of the mind. And when someone believes because God is a proven fact, he cannot go beyond reason. All the masters have invented ways to take you beyond reason. Zen has its own particular technique. And this technique is called a koan. A koan is an absurd riddle. You cannot solve it. No matter how much you try, your effort does not matter. For example, disciples are told to meditate on the sound of one hand clapping. But one hand cannot clap. To clap, you need at least two hands. The riddle is impossible. But the master will say, "You are not trying hard enough." And he is deceiving you. Because no matter what you do, it will never be enough. The problem is unsolvable. It does not depend on whether you work hard or not. But if you put your whole being into it, suddenly you realize the absurdity. And then, suddenly, you begin to laugh. The whole thing was absurd. And you burst into wild laughter. Have you ever seen a madman laugh? His laughter is totally different from yours. Yours has a reason. Someone tells a joke. Someone slips on a banana peel. And you laugh. There is a reason. Something ridiculous has happened. Why do you laugh when a man slips on a banana peel? Why? What is funny about it? There is something there. The ego is the most ridiculous thing in man. And when a man slips on a banana peel, even the banana peel is stronger than him. The total absurdity of the ego is revealed. Man is nothing. Even a banana peel can make you lose your balance. All of human civilization is centered on the ego. Entire cultures, nations, all dreams of greatness. All of it has come to man because he is the only animal that stands upright on 2 feet. That is why man thinks he is not an animal. That he is different. Unique. That he does not belong to the animal world. But when you slip on a banana peel, suddenly that upright position disappears. Suddenly you fall back into the animal world. You are a helpless animal. Nothing more. That is why it is ridiculous to see a man fall. And think about this. If a beggar slips on a banana peel, you will not laugh much. But if a prime minister falls, you will laugh more. Why? Because a beggar is already a beggar. He was already close to the animal world, not much more. But this prime minister, this president, this king, this queen, you could never imagine that the Queen of England could fall exactly like any other human being. Impossible. They have created around themselves a false impression that they are infallible. And a simple banana peel destroys it all. It reveals that you are just a helpless human being. And not only a helpless human being, but merely an animal. On all fours. Not standing on 2 legs. That is ridiculous. You laugh, but there is a reason. Now watch how a madman laughs. That laughter has no reason. That is why you call him mad. You ask him, "What are you laughing at?" If he can explain why, he is not mad. If he cannot explain, you say he has lost his reason. Now in a koan, the master keeps saying, Work harder. You are not working hard enough. And the more you work, the more stuck you become. You cannot go back. You cannot go forward. You are trapped. And the master keeps pushing you. Faster. Harder. Keep going. A moment comes when you hold nothing back. Your whole being is involved. And still, you are stuck. Suddenly, when all your energy is involved, you realize. But this happens only when you are totally involved. When you have put everything on the table. Everything you have. Only at this peak, at this climax of energy, do you see that the problem itself is absurd. It cannot be solved. And a laughter spreads through your whole being. A wild laughter. And with that laughter, everything changes. Everything shifts. That is the first thing. Now the second. All of you are great imitators. It is easier to imitate than to be authentic. Because imitation exists on the surface. Authenticity requires your center. It requires your totality. And that feels like too much. So you involve yourself only on the surface. Deep down, you remain uninvolved. Imitation is easy. And the whole culture, the whole society, depends on imitation. Everyone tells you how to behave. And what they teach you is nothing but imitation. The so-called religious people, the priests, the theologians, they also teach you. They say, be like Jesus. Be like Buddha. Be like Krishna. No one ever tells you, be yourself. No one. It feels as if the whole world is against you. No one allows you to be yourself. No one gives you freedom. You may exist in this world, but you must imitate someone. All this is ridiculous, because the same things were said to Buddha. They told him, be like Rama. Be like Krishna. He did not follow them. And that is how he became a Buddha. He became enlightened because he was never a victim of imitation. Remember this. If you imitate, you will remain false. Now, an anecdote. A lion and a rabbit walk into a restaurant. Suddenly everyone becomes irate. They cannot believe what they are seeing. Then the rabbit says to the waiter, bring me a lettuce, please. The waiter is frightened. But he still asks, and your friend? What would he like? The rabbit says, nothing. The waiter asks, doesn't he have an appetite? The rabbit looks at him and says, do you think I would be sitting here if he were a real lion? He is an actor. The whole world has become unreal, full of pretense. No one is real. It is very difficult to find a real man. If you find one, do not leave him. Stay close. His reality will become infectious. Just being near him is enough to transform you. Nothing else is needed. Just be near him. Observe him. Feel how he is. That is enough. But society has made you imitators. Actors. You are not real. You are false. You have never been allowed to be yourself. And that is the only thing you can be. You cannot be anything else. The falseness you place upon yourself can never become your being. How could it? At most, it is a costume, a posture, a superficial gesture. The whole world helps you become an imitator. So when you go to a monastery, when you go near a master, you begin using the same old methods you practiced in the world. You start imitating there too. But in a monastery, imitation is useless. It only becomes a barrier. In the world, it works, because the whole world is made of imitators. If you are real in the world, you will have problems. If you are false, you will be accepted. What is called the world only wants you to be a shadow, not a real man. Because a real man is dangerous. Only shadows can be controlled. Shadows can be obedient. Shadows can follow. Whatever they are told to do, they will do. A real man will not always say yes. Sometimes he will say no. And when he says no, he means no. You cannot dominate him. You cannot repress him. So from the very beginning, we teach children to be false. And that is what we call character. If they become well-adjusted and truly false, we appreciate them. We reward them. We say they are good children. But if a child rebels, if he tries to be himself, he becomes a problem child. He must be psychoanalyzed or sent somewhere to be corrected. They say something is wrong with him. But nothing is wrong. He is simply asserting himself. He is saying, "Let me be myself." A small boy named Tommy was attending his first wedding ceremony. Someone asked him, "Tommy, who would you like to marry? And when?" The boy said, "Never. I don't want to get married." The man was surprised. "Why?" The boy said, "I have lived too long with married people. They are so false. I don't want to get married because I want to be myself." And his father and mother were standing right there. The wife does not allow the husband to be himself. The husband does not allow the wife to be herself. No one allows anyone to be who they truly are, because they think it is dangerous. And this has repressed society. False people cannot be happy. At most, they can be sad. At best, they can be depressed. Freud said that humanity has no real possibility of being happy. And in a way, he is right. If humanity continues moving in this direction, only hopelessness is possible. Only sadness. Only depression. Carrying yourself like a burden. No dance. No bubbling energy. No vitality. No song. No flowers. Just dragging yourself through life. False people can only live like that. But when these false people become too bored, too tired of what is called society, they go to a master in search of truth. And there, they try their old techniques again. But there, those techniques fail. It is fine to be false among false people. It would be difficult to be real among them. But when you are seeking truth, when you go to a master and feel the urgency to know what reality is, you cannot imitate. If you imitate, you bring your old pattern, your old way of being. And that very way becomes the barrier. On the path of being, imitation is not allowed. Now look at religious people. You will see churches, temples, mosques, and there you will find the greatest imitators. Which means religion is no longer there. Churches, temples, and mosques have become dead tombs. With Jesus, one had to be real. But with the Pope in the Vatican, you must imitate. Now the Christianity of the Vatican is part of society. Jesus was never part of society. He was always an outsider. All truly religious people have always been outsiders. When they die, a church is built over their bodies, and that church becomes part of society, directed by it, controlled by it. Society has many clever tricks. If you escape from the marketplace, it will catch you through the church, because the church is nothing but an extension of the marketplace. The marketplace feeds it, controls it, owns it, and the priest does not represent the divine. He represents the marketplace. He represents the financial structure of society. And Marx is right when he says religion has been in the hands of capitalists, or feudalists, or those who exploit and hold power. Religion has often been used as an instrument of exploitation. Marx is right when he speaks about the religion of the Vatican. But he is not right when speaking about Jesus, or Buddha, or Mohammed. They were not part of society. They existed in the desert, as outsiders, declaring themselves against society, against imitation. They existed as messengers of the divine. That is the meaning of avatar, of Son of God, of prophet. And remember this: only one who has been a true disciple can become a master. One who has never been a disciple cannot be a master. Before teaching, you must learn. But everyone wants to be a master without being a disciple. Your ego wants to teach, not to learn. So you become a false master. And then not only are you in danger, you lead others into danger as well. A blind man leading other blind men. They are bound to fall into a ditch. Remember this. The ego wants to teach. It feels good for the ego to give advice, to instruct. Watch this in yourself, because you also do it. You have lost thousands of opportunities to learn, but you never want to miss a single opportunity to teach. Someone is speaking, you interrupt. Someone asks a question, you may not even understand the question. You do not know the answer, and still you answer. Why? Because the ego feels powerful when it appears knowledgeable. You know, the other does not. That is why there is so much attraction in becoming a teacher. Teach, and you are the one who knows. The other becomes ignorant. It is the old trick. You have the riches, the other is poor. You have status, the other is nobody. You know, the other does not. Whenever you feel the other has been pushed down, you feel on top. That is exploitation. That is why there are so many teachers in the world, but very few true masters. And this has always been so. Mahavira was a true master. And the Jain community in India had been waiting for a Tirthankara for many years. The 24th had to come. They were waiting for the 24th. The Jains believe that in every cosmic cycle, every kalpa, 24 great masters are born. 23 had already come. They were waiting for the last one. There was great expectation. But how could they know who the real one was? When Mahavira came, he was the 24th. But 8 others also claimed to be the true one. And those 8 misled many people. They were great teachers, but not masters. They could speak. They could preach. They could argue. They were powerful debaters. And they influenced many. Because you are influenced by argument. You are not influenced by being. To perceive being, you must raise your consciousness higher and higher. Only then can you see the peaks. If you remain in the valley, how can you see the summit? You must rise. To see Mahavira was difficult, because Gosalak was there, and Prabhuda Kartiyan, and Pohan Kasap, and others. They were ordinary in their being, but extraordinary in their minds. They were not enlightened, but they were great scholars, greater scholars than Mahavira, great debaters. They could silence anyone. So when they claimed authority, many listened to them. Meanwhile, Mahavira remained in absolute silence for 12 years. Who would go to him? He was expelled from village after village. Whenever he arrived somewhere, people drove him away, because he remained silent. And people always suspect a silent man. He did not speak. He did not even look at anyone. And he walked naked. That created even more suspicion. People asked, "Why are you naked?" And he remained silent. So they thought either he was a criminal hiding from something, or a madman, because only madmen walk naked. Why else? Would he walk naked? They thought he must be immoral, because in society, nothing is considered more immoral than nakedness. And he would not answer any questions. So people said, he is stupid, or he is suspicious. Maybe he was a spy from another country. They drove him out for 12 years. And we say people were waiting for him. But waiting is not enough. You need eyes to see. The Jews waited for Jesus for thousands of years. They are still waiting. And Jesus already came. What can be done with the human mind? They are still waiting for the Messiah. And he already came. 20 centuries have passed. He came to them, knocked on their door, and they refused to believe in him, because he did not speak as they expected. But how can a divine messenger speak as you expect? He does not come from your mind. He comes from beyond. He cannot speak your language in the way you want. Whatever he says will shake you. It will destroy what you are. And as you are, you must be destroyed. Only then can something new be born. But they refused. And they still wait. And know this? If he were to gather the courage to come again, and perhaps he will not, the way he was treated was enough. If he forgets how he was crucified, how he was insulted, how he was rejected, if he forgets all that and returns, they will reject him again. They can accept ordinary people with extraordinary minds, but they cannot accept someone with an extraordinary state of being. Because to see such a being, you must transform yourself. As you are, you cannot see. As you are, you cannot understand Jesus. Remember this well. The ego would love to become a Messiah. The ego has nothing. But it pretends. It keeps pretending. There are many teachers. Be alert. Otherwise, you may become a victim. And remember, do not give advice unless you have truly learned. Unless you have gone through discipleship. And discipleship is difficult. Because you must surrender. You must drop your ego. You must become a no-self. And here is the paradox. Unless you become a no-self, you will never discover your true self. The false must be dropped. Only then can the real arise. The counterfeit coin must be thrown away. Only then does the search for the real and the authentic truly begin.